Now I would like to, shift to Mr. Mansoor Siddiqui, the Director General FMU. And Mansoor Sahab, excuse me for the long question, but if you can take notes if you want. But I thought Mansoor's presence, we should take advantage of that as DG FMU. Mansoor can kindly share with us, one is the trends of the white collar crimes as to what is happening. Then please do tell us about the GoAML system that you have at FMU, and what impact has it had on STR analysis. I think it's extremely important that we understand what that means. And are you happy with the STR quality, or once Mansoor's, particularly in banks, and how would you like the STRs to become more meaningful? I can repeat the question,
Sure.
but kindly, that will be very nice if you could delve into these issues for the benefit of the audience.
Thank you, Irfan. I think before I talk about the STRs and reflect on the trend that has gone up in the recent past, I would just like to reflect that I think this conference that you people have organized at a time when we are going through FATF and APG evaluations, a lot of perceptions are there in the market also, okay, how is Pakistan performing in that perspective. And I think we have to have an optimistic view of things also, because things are improving in the right direction, and we are to some extent progressing on a number of actions that were required to be taking place on our part. Coming to the question, I think if you look at it from the last 10-year perspective, since this whole process of STR reporting started in 2007 onwards, the level of awareness, the level of knowledge on the part of the banks, particularly the DFIs and then the DNFBPs, has gone up. Roughly around, if I took a over period trend, last 10 years, the STR reported must have been something around 23,000 STRs has come in. In the last year, there were around 5,500 STRs reported, and this year, in the last 7-8 months, something around 6,000 STRs have been reported, which means if I extrapolated it and took it on a yearly basis, it has gone up in this particular year, something around 20% increase in STRs that have been reported by the banks particularly. So this reflects that the level of knowledge and the level of awareness on the part of the banks in terms of reporting STRs has gone up. And if I segregate among these STRs and bifurcate among them in the categories that they've gone into in terms of investigations, primarily the major share comes under the umbrella of bribery and frauds, etc. But then the criminal effect in terms of terrorist financing is also going up. I think here, before I go into the GoAML and give a reflection of the impact, I would just like to reflect that probably the area that we need to focus on in coming days and months is going to be our non-bank sector. But because the banking sector, yes, is improving, but then when you talk of the non-banks, the insurance, the mudabas, and even the DNFBPs, and I have a lot of people from the lawyer community, the chartered accountants sitting here, I think, and then some of the smaller sectors like gems and jewelry, these are the areas where we as a country, I think, in going forward, needs to focus more on in terms of STR reporting. Our lawyer community, the level of the involvement in this whole process, the level of engagement in terms of reporting the STR, the chartered accountant firms in terms of the roles for reporting the information about the customers has to improve also, because this is one of the areas under the definition of FIs. When you talk about FATF, you talk about APG, the definition that they take on is not only just focused on the banks, it will also focus on the DNFBPs and the trust and etc. So this part of the element is the one which is going to be probably dragging us down in terms of overall evaluation when it comes as a country's focus is concerned. So probably that is an area we need to focus on. And then coming to the GoAML, yes, I think that the platform that we have in Pakistan now is one of the most state-of-the-art technology platform that you have in the world. Almost 48 countries across the globe are using this framework of GoAML. And we shifted to this framework something around January. It's been almost 7-8 months now, and some of the institutions are still in the phase of shifting to the new system. But this platform has provided us an opportunity to analyze the STRs in a more timely manner, more effective manner, and it has allowed us an opportunity to carry out the strategic analysis too at the same time. Strategic analysis helps us to, as an FMU, analyze the categories of reporting that are taking place, segregate them into different sectors, and see which of the areas, the geographical locations, are more prone to the risk of money laundering or terrorist financing. And that helps us to trigger the law enforcement agencies that which are the areas and the regions that need to focus on, advise the regulators and the financial institutions in general that which of the regional branches and the areas they should be more focused upon in terms of in understanding where the STRs are being reported or not being reported at the moment. And top of this, I think it has also brought us in compliant with the global standards of FMU standards concerned, because by having these technology platforms, FMU has been one of the few FIUs which is compliant in terms of FATF standards too. When you talk about the, our level of satisfaction in terms of the quality of STRs being reported, I think it has improved, but then since I've been here only for the last 1 or 2 months, what my personal observation has been that to some extent our banks at times are hesitant too in terms of reporting STRs, in terms of disclosing the larger information in the STRs for that sake. Probably at times I feel that the information that is shared in the form of STR is much more of a shedding of responsibility to some extent. You just want to document that you have reported an STR. You don't want to give in the detailed information in terms of what kind of family trees involved, what kind of other deeper accounts may be involved into this whole reporting structure. That probably could help FMU in terms of carrying out a much detailed analysis, and at the same time when we carry out a more effective analysis, the LE is also going to have a better framework of carrying out investigation and then the prosecution part of it. So that's probably what.
And Mansoor, would you recommend organizations to have an STR policy?
I think most of the institutions should have an internal SOPs defined, into more of a, you can say, the guidelines defined within the institutions. Probably the regulators, State Bank and SECP, particularly for the banks and the non-banks, can also structure some kind of a mechanism where a standard system is available for the banks, and at the same time, I think we as regulators also probably would have to look at, monitor in our supervision and inspection that there are always some institutions where the trend of reporting STRs at times over a period of time goes up and down. For example, an X institution may not have reported any STR in a particular year, while it may have reported a number of STRs in the previous year or in the coming years. Then that particular year needs to be looked at from both the compliance aspect of the institution itself and the regulators in general, so that we should know, was it just a drop-off trend, or was it just because of a lapse of control on the part of the internal control at part of the bank, that in a particular year they failed to report, or in a particular month or a quarter they didn't report any kind of an STR at all. So those probably, if we internally within the bank and as on a collective basis, we carry out an analysis internally in terms of ensuring that we evaluate the trends also within the institution of reporting of STR, that could help us more effectively move forward the system.